In May 2024, an entire industry collapsed in 48 hours. Not from war, not from a hurricane, from the sun. $565 million in losses. 10,000 farmers staring at tractors that, as one of them put it, looked like they were demon-possessed. And here's what the experts are quietly admitting now. That storm wasn't the disaster. That storm was the rehearsal, because in January of this year, a team of scientists in the United Kingdom finished an 80-page document that almost no one in America has heard of. They were trying to answer one specific question: what happens when the next real one hits? The kind of storm that comes once every 1 to 200 years, the kind we last saw in 1859. And buried deep in that report, in Appendix 2, is a section that has nothing to do with satellites, or transformers, or GPS. It's about people. And it's the most disturbing thing in the entire study. Picture this. It's a Tuesday morning, May 10th, 2024. Aurora chaser Elaine Ramstad is sitting in the cab of her tractor in the American Midwest, watching it dance across the field on its own. The auto steer is off by close to a foot, then 3 feet. The tractor pulls a row to the left, jerks back to the right. Demon-possessed, she'd later tell reporters. Across 12 states, thousands of farmers are seeing the same thing. They don't know it yet, but the sun has just fired the most powerful storm to hit Earth in 20 years. And while their tractors freak out, something else is happening. Something that has experts now asking a completely different kind of question. Not how do we protect our hardware, but how do we protect our people? The May 2024 event has a name now, the Gannon Storm. Named after Jennifer Gannon, the late solar physicist who spent her career warning us this day was coming. It was a G5, the highest classification on the geomagnetic storm scale. Auroras danced over Mexico, Spain, even Florida. Some scientists called it the strongest aurora display in 500 years. But for 16 million Americans living off precision agriculture, it was a nightmare. GPS signals went off by up to 230 feet. Aircraft instruments, maritime navigation, survey equipment, construction, all of it scrambled at once. $565 million vanished out of the Corn Belt in a single planting weekend. And here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. The experts at the Space Weather Prediction Center later called May 2024 the most prepared for and successfully mitigated extreme space weather storm in history. That was the best scenario. 6 hours of warning, protocols already in place, a generally cooperative power grid. So the question that quietly haunts every solar physicist working today is this: what does the worst scenario look like? The UK's Science and Technology Facilities Council answered that question this January. Their report, the 4th edition of Summary of Space Weather Worst Case Environments, runs 80 pages of dense, sober, technical analysis. They modeled what happens during the kind of solar storm that hits us once every 1 to 200 years. The Carrington event of 1859, when a CME so powerful slammed into Earth that telegraph operators got electrical shocks from their equipment. Telegraph paper caught fire. Auroras were seen from Cuba. In 1859, that was an inconvenience. The Industrial Revolution wasn't yet running on electricity. Today, it would be civilizational. The report estimates that during a Carrington-level event, satellites would be pummeled by radiation hard enough to fry their electronics. Some would lose orbit altogether. GPS goes dark. Satellite TV goes dark. Most aviation gets grounded for radiation safety. Power grids in the high latitudes, including the entire northern third of the United States, could trip out for days, weeks, or in the worst projections, months. And that's the part that makes the news. But it's not the part the report's authors are most worried about. Tucked at the very back in Appendix 2, the British government commissioned a separate study by John Preston. He's not a solar physicist, he's not an engineer, he's a scientist of human panic. His task was simple: model what people would actually do during a worst-case event. His findings are stunning. Within hours of the first emergency broadcast, assuming there's any broadcasting infrastructure left to deliver it, the report predicts supermarkets across affected regions would start to empty. Not from supply chain damage, from people. Within 12 hours, gas stations dry up. Within 24 hours, ATMs are useless. Within 48 hours, you're in serious trouble. And we've seen this movie before. Remember March of 2020? The toilet paper, the pasta, the bottled water. That was a virus that took weeks to develop. The Preston Annex describes a scenario where the same panic happens in hours. And then it gets worse, because Preston's research found something that almost no one talks about. During the 2020 Los Angeles wildfires, 28% of evacuees refused to leave their homes, even when authorities ordered them to, because they didn't trust the authorities, because they had heard online that the fires were a hoax, or a deep state operation, or punishment from God. Now imagine that same skepticism in the middle of an event most Americans can't even define. A 2018 survey found that fewer than 1 in 12 American adults had even heard the term space weather. Less than 1 in 50 knew what it actually meant. Now imagine telling a country like that to stay calm and stockpile water because the sun is angry. That's the part of the report that scientists are losing sleep over. Because the technology problem, engineers can solve it. The Department of Homeland Security ran a tabletop exercise called Solar Convergence in late 2025, specifically to map out grid hardening, satellite shielding, redundancy. The psychology problem is harder, because right now, your local supermarket holds about 3 days of food. That's it, 3 days. The system relies on something called just-in-time delivery. Trucks roll in every morning, restock the shelves, and roll out. Take down GPS, take down the ports, take down the truck dispatch software, take down the credit card processing. And that 3-day buffer becomes the only thing standing between civil order and what the British government's behavioral team politely calls public unrest. And here's the most uncomfortable number in the entire report. A worst-case event over the next century is estimated at a roughly 10% probability. Not in your lifetime, in any given decade. Some researchers put the number even higher. So what's actually being done? A few things, quietly. NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center now runs better forecasts than it did in 2024. Power utilities have updated their geomagnetic disturbance protocols. Some grid operators are adding capacitor banks to absorb induced currents. The Department of Energy has spent the last 3 years burying additional spare transformers, those huge industrial transformers that take 18 to 24 months to manufacture, and that only a handful of factories on Earth can even build. But the public information campaign, the "this is what to do if your phone dies for 3 days" campaign, that doesn't exist. Not yet. And the cruelest irony of all is this. Right now, as you're watching this video, the sun is at the peak of its most active phase in 2 decades. Just last weekend, on April 23rd and 24th, AR 4419 fired off 2 X-class flares within 7 hours of each other. Radio blackouts swept across the Pacific. A glancing CME nudged Earth's magnetic field. It barely made the news. That's how close to the edge we already live. And that was nothing. Remember the question we started with? About Elaine Ramstad in her tractor on May 10, 2024, watching the autosteer act demon-possessed. What scared her wasn't the GPS errors. It was the realization in real time that something invisible, something 93 million miles away, could reach down and break her 10,000-acre operation in an afternoon. Now multiply that helplessness by 340 million Americans. That's what the experts are looking at when they read Appendix 2 of the British report. So here's the question we genuinely want you to think about, and we want your honest answer in the comments. Not the heroic answer, the real one. If you turned on the news tomorrow morning and the headline read, "NOAA confirms Carrington-class CME, 72 hours to impact," what would your first move be? Would you head to the store, top up the gas tank, pull cash from the bank? Or would you sit there scrolling, hoping someone else handles it? We genuinely want to know. Because the British report basically says, what we choose to do in those 72 hours will decide whether the lights coming back on take days or take years. Drop it below. Read each other's answers. There's a real conversation to have here. The sun has been doing this for 4.5 billion years. We've been running civilization on electricity for about 150. Eventually, those two timelines collide. The question isn't if, it's whether we'll be ready when it does.